Oxbow is a geologic feature of a river where it makes a large bend that resembles the yoke around an oxen's neck. Certainly the Hocking River has seemed like a yoke around the Athenians' collective necks at times throughout history. We have a love-hate relationship with the Hocking, which has moved our goods to markets, provided us water, and carried away our waste for over 216 years, but also brought devastating floods and served as a significant barrier to restricting access to the city from the surrounding area. Indeed, Arthur Coates, the farmer who owned much of the land south of town, after whom Coates Run is named, recognized an opportunity in the barrier from the Hocking such that he opened a paid ferry at the site in 1800. It must have been profitable because it operated for 40 years until the first Athens South Bridge was built in 1839. But it still cost money to cross. It was a private toll bridge, built just above the water level. The first public bridge was finally built in 1870 and was raised to a much higher elevation to get above the regular flood levels, as well as the Marietta to Cincinnati Railroad that had reached Athens 15 years earlier. With the growth of the area and the tremendous deforestation that accompanied it in the late 1800s, the floods persisted and worsened. The massively destructive 1907 flood depicted in this photo damaged the bridge enough to warrant replacement with a third South Bridge, an all-steel structure built in 1908. The rise in the use of the automobile and the importance of the route then called Athens-Pomeroy Road, the precursor to US 33, prompted the Ohio Department of Highways to build a beautiful new structure beginning in 1931. D.H. Overman, a famous bridge engineer at the time, designed it as the first continuous steel plate girder structure in Ohio. The brilliant engineering and tremendous craftsmanship of the workers at the time resulted in a bridge that has stood with only minor repairs for 80 years until this major rehabilitation project. That is simply amazing. 50 years is the typical design lifespan for a bridge like this. We paid particular attention to the unique history and beauty of the original bridge with this project, selecting the same exposed aggregate finish for the internal railing, actually removing and reinstalling the original external railing, and selecting lights that closely match the original lights from 1932. We are confident with this project, designed by Jones Stuckey, our engineering firm, and built with the craftsmanship of Shelley & Sands, our contractor, that this fifth incarnation of the South Bridge will last another 80 years. This bridge project is an example of cooperation at its finest. Overall, project cost is approximately $3.7 million. We applied for and received municipal bridge funds from the Federal Highway Administration, administered through the Ohio Department of Transportation for 80% of construction costs. In addition to carrying cars and pedestrians, if you walk underneath and look up, you'll notice this bridge is a major artery for the Ohio University utility system. From the beginning, several years ago, the city and OU approached this as a joint project, focused on both bridge and utility repairs. Our success in the delicate bookkeeping and approvals dance could be a case study in best practices for how a municipality and a major university can legally and effectively expend federal dollars administered through a state agency to meet local goals. In addition to our design firm and our contractor, Michael Baker Jr. Incorporated assisted us with inspection services. And certainly our friends at ODOT oversaw our work and ensured that we were proceeding according to plan. I would like to thank the following people for their hard work on this project. From Shelley & Sands, Tom O'Brien, Ryan Greslick, and Cy Thompson. From Twin Rivers, a sub for Shelley & Sands, Dallas Elswick. From our design consultant, Jones Stuckey, Dave Jones, Bill Vermez, and Vince Jarrett. From Panic & Knoll Architects, our sub-consultants for aesthetic work above and underneath, Don Dispenza, Nicholas Bittner, and Vivian Herbert. From Michael Baker Incorporated, Bob Henry, and Bill Lindenbaum. From ODOT, Alan Craig, Greg Huffman, and Debbie Felt. From Ohio University, Harry Wyatt, Richard Schultz, and Dave Brown. From the City of Athens, City Council for seeing fit to fund this project, my boss, Service Safety Director Paula Graham Mosley, for her guidance and support. And And from my staff, Chuck Nuncaster, our inspector, Patty Whitmer, our meticulous project administrative support, Kelly Goins, who helped hold this ceremony together, and finally my brilliant and always diligent project manager, Jessica Dine, who serves as my right hand with this and a myriad of other projects we have going at any given time, continuously improving Athens. Thank you all. After our ceremony today, please take a look underneath the structure at one of the most striking, unique parts of this project. The abutment reliefs are massive, and we saw them as canvases to celebrate our community. To do so, we selected two momentous events in the history of Athens, designed by Don, Nicholas, and Vivian from Pancha Knoll. On the northern abutment, you'll see a scene depicting the Marietta to Cincinnati Railroad, whose arrival in 1855, lobbied so hard for by the population, ensured Athens would grow and thrive. On the southern abutment, you see the Hocking River. I spoke about our love-hate relationship. In the late 1960s and early 70s, the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers rechannelized the Hocking through Athens from where you now stand to its current location. While this project saved us from more devastating flooding, when it formerly flowed wild right underneath this bridge, it provided home for many species, some of which no longer remain in southeastern Ohio. Also in this relief, you can see the 1870 bridge, as well as the Athens Asylum, another major part of our history, in the background. Behind the construction zone, as Shelley and Sam finishes some of the components underneath, but please wander down when we're finished and look at this amazing artwork. The language, which will be on the plaques that will accompany the images, are shown here on this board. Before we proceed, we have words from two of our community leaders. It is now my pleasure to introduce the president of Ohio University, Dr. Roderick Day.
Thank you very much, Andy. We have come together over the past few years in a unified way, the university and city, to celebrate many accomplishments, and today is one more day that we have an opportunity to come together to celebrate yet one more accomplishment. The university is honored to be a part of this partnership with the city of Athens, which has made the rehabilitation project possible, restoring a beautiful entryway to our city and to our university. I would like to thank Mayor Weil and Andy Stone, Director of the City of Athens Engineering and Public Works Department, for their leadership for this project, as well as David Brown, who served as project manager from Ohio University. I'd also like to acknowledge the work of our prime contractor, as Andy did, Shelley and Sands Incorporated. You know, we oftentimes don't pay enough attention to the people that do the work, but I've got to tell you that they did a tremendous job, and most importantly, they came in early with completing the project, which we all appreciate. Thanks so much to your hard work and your overtime. They were able to complete this in what we were giving them as a very small window, from to be sure, from our May commencement up to the beginning of our classes this August, actually before the beginning of classes from the standpoint of the convocation that we have the Sunday before. We are very grateful for their dedication, which ensures that Oxbow Bridge was open to traffic during Ohio University's opening weekend. We're very proud of our shared commitment to beautifying our city and improving safety for all of our community members and visitors. Oxbow Bridge is of significance to all who live in Athens, who work or reside on campus, and who visit the city and the university. Its improved design will allow pedestrians, bicyclists, and cars to coexist safely. I can't tell you how many comments I've heard already from many of our students, our faculty and staff, about how much safer they feel coming across the Oxbow Bridge as a result of the improvements that have been made. This project is a great accomplishment, one that will serve the Athens community and university for many, many years. As Andy pointed out, some of us, no, just a few of us, probably just me, I'm old enough to actually remember when there was a river that ran right there. So we've come a long way, to say the least. So the project is a great accomplishment, and we're very, very pleased with everybody that had a hand in making this project a success that it has turned out to be. So with that, it is now my great pleasure to introduce my friend and my colleague, the mayor of the city of Athens, Paul Wiley.
I'll try to keep you brief. It's always hard to follow Dr. Davis there. Better speaker than I'll ever do at this point. As a bridge, as a metaphor, similes, bridges, connectors, communication, transitions, but sometimes a bridge is just a bridge. When this was first built, first, I guess number 5 or 6, there was a river underneath it, there were trains underneath it. I remember the trains, and I wasn't here for the change of the river, I guess, which is just as well. It has historic elements, it's multimodal. As stated, it's a choreographic design that all the parts, all the working parts, whether it's utility parts, whether it's us for the multimodal, the transportation part. It's to fit everything we need, I hope. There'll be changes, I'm sure we'll need a place for segues eventually. At the same time, as part of our link with our south side, the next project, of course, is the south, Richmond. I'm sure you're all waiting with bated breath. I apologize for the inconvenience all summer long. I had some people say, oh, I saved 2 minutes on the roundabout, and then I took it away. You know, and it's like, well, we're trying to do the improvements there. But again, this is an important part. It represents us working together. It represents what people can do when they do work together. A lot of money involved. In some spaces, there's not a lot of money involved, but for us it is. Again, some people say, oh, it makes us the mechanics for an older situation. Said the city. With that, as I said, I'd like to thank everybody involved. I'd like to thank you, President Davis, for helping out and coordinating this. I know that there's utilities under there. There are our utilities as well, yours, and it all makes the city work as well. With that said, I'm going to turn it over to Andy. Thank you again.
Okay, when we get done with the ribbon cutting, the formal portion of the ceremony is going to be over, so you don't need to come back down here. Just certainly feel free to wander underneath and look at the reliefs, look at the various features on top. Paula briefly wanted me to mention some of the safety features specific to this project. In addition to the multimodal aspects that the mayor spoke of with the bike lanes out on the bridge, there's a vehicle crash-worthy barrier now placed between pedestrians and cars that wasn't there before. You'll note that up on top. There's improved lighting both above and underneath. And then one other note, if you remember, prior to this project, these stairs were not here. And these stairs allow for additional pedestrian connectivity between the western portion and eastern portion of Ohio University campus without crossing Richmond Avenue. And that was fully funded by Ohio University. 1, 2, 3.
Thank you, everybody, for coming.